This episode of Basics is presented by The Singleton. The Singleton is an award-winning single malt that tastes great over ice, neat, or mixed into a cocktail. Much like The Singleton, I believe that good food and great drinks are better when enjoyed with friends. So on today's episode, I'll be making a few different kinds of Thanksgiving stuffing. To accompany them, I'm making a spiced apple punch, a fall cocktail that's easy to make in a batch to drink with friends or family this holiday. Let's get down to basics. Alright, so we've made traditional American turkey stuffing many times on this show. If you want to see how to make it, click the link in the upper right hand corner right now. So today we're going to take a crack at some different spins on stuffing. First up, the ever popular cornbread stuffing. I've got 2 packages of store-bought cornbread here that I'm preparing with a great deal of difficulty, cracking my eggs, gently whisking to combine, and that's how you make store-bought cornbread batter. Until next time, I'm Andrew Ray, and this has been I'm kidding. Now, instead of preparing according to package directions, we are greasing and parchment paper lining a large rimmed baking sheet, spreading out evenly, maybe giving a few heartfelt taps against the countertop to release any bubbles, and into the oven it goes. 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes or until browned and cooked through. Let it cool in the pan, and then we're going to invert it out, and as you can see, we have cornbread with much more surface area than normal cornbread. This will hopefully add a little crunch and prevent the cornbread from turning into mush. Go ahead and cut this into a grid of 1-inch squares. Go on and get back in there, little guy. And then as a further anti-mush measure, we are spreading these out on another rimmed baking sheet and then drying out the way we would for any other bread stuffing, either in a very low oven for a few hours or left out uncovered for a couple days to stale. Now, stuffing isn't the only stuff in stuffing. There's other stuff, usually some par-cooked meat, vegetables, and broth. For the cornbread, I'm going to prepare what we would normally prepare for standard stuffing. Browning and crumbling 1 pound of sage sausage in a large cast iron skillet, scooping it out with a slotted spoon onto some paper towels to drain, and sauteing half a large chopped onion in the sausage fat, about 3 minutes or until well sweated, and then we're adding a couple chopped ribs of celery. About another 3 minutes, adding a large clove of chopped garlic in the last 30 seconds. Once the garlic is fragrant, we're going to kill the heat and add a few tablespoons of chopped fresh sage. Let the stuff cool off just a little bit, and then in a large bowl, we are combining the dried cornbread cubes, sausage, vegetables, and of course stock. You could use chicken or vegetable, but of course for the most classic Thanksgiving flavor, you want to go turkey. In spite of the store-bought cornbread, you ideally want to use homemade stock, as this is going to become one of the predominant flavors in your stuffing. Add the stock a little bit at a time, giving it a mix between additions, along with 1 large beaten egg for structure. We want to get the cornbread saturated with stock to the point that it's almost falling apart, but still retaining its shape. Now, normally I am a staunch opponent of raisins and stuffing, but in cornbread it kind of makes sense. It's sweeter, it's a little cakier, and like many people, I prefer not to actually stuff my turkey with stuffing. It basically guarantees that you're going to overcook the rest of your turkey by the time the stuffing comes up to a safe temperature. Plus, if you set aside a few dozen cornbread chunks, you can press them into the top, both to add a little crunch, a little visual flair, and to really drive home that this is cornbread. Wrap tightly in aluminum foil and bake at 375 for 25 minutes, removing the foil and baking for an additional 15 to get some nice brownage on the top. And there you have it. After you let it cool for like 10 minutes, you got cornbread stuffing that doesn't turn into a pile of cornbread paste. Just watch those moisture levels because it wants to, but you can't let it. The stuff is delicious, but as far as this episode, this is where tradition stops, because now we're venturing into the brave new world of stuffings we made up. First off, what is apparently my knee-jerk reaction whenever I need to put a spin on something, Italian-style stuffing. For this, we're using a small loaf of store-bought olive focaccia. Make sure not to use the oily gourmet stuff, otherwise you're going to get greasy stuffing. Now, instead of sausage, I thought a cool way to go might be fried pancetta and prosciutto. So I got about half a pound of pancetta here that I'm browning and crisping, and then in the pancetta fat, I'm going to fry the prosciutto. The only reason I'm cooking this one is because I want to put as little fat as possible into the stuffing so we don't end up having to dab it with a napkin like a slice of pepperoni pizza. Once the roughly 4 ounces of chopped prosciutto are crisped up, we're continuing with the vegetables as before, just without the celery. That is the only difference. Oh, we're also doubling the garlic. Oh, and we're also adding 2 ounces of chopped sun-dried tomatoes and 3 ounces of chopped artichoke hearts. Oh, and an ounce of pine nuts. But that's it. We're sauteing these all together for about 3 minutes until, cooked, dumping it over our air or oven dried focaccia cubes. I think I made way too much meat, so I'm only adding about half of what I prepared. The website's recipes will reflect as such, and then from there on out, it's actually the same procedure as the last stuffing. Greased cast iron baking vessel wrapped in aluminum foil, 350 for 25 minutes. Uncover and bake an additional 15 minutes, optionally grating some Parmigiano Reggiano over top before returning it to the womb, after which it will emerge golden brown, crisp, and ready to confuse and delight your Thanksgiving guests. This stuff tastes distinctly Italian, and it deliciously stands on its own, but it's going to play nice with whatever you mash it together with on your Thanksgiving plate. Next and last, I want to try something really and truly crazy. biscuit stuffing. Yes, of course you could make your own biscuits, but I'm just using the biscuits out of the pop can, both because it's way easier and because homemade biscuits might commit the sin of being flaky, buttery, and tender, whereas these are more like biscuit-style products, which, once cooled completely, slices easily into stuffing appropriate cubes, which we're going to give the same treatment as the rest. Meanwhile, for the meat, since we're already going kind of crazy with this one, let's use bacon. A lot of bacon. They're so large, they require a splash of water to help the fat render out during the earlier parts of cooking, preventing them or their fat from burning by the time they get crisp. Let those drain on paper towels and saute our onion and celery in the reserved fat, killing the heat and finishing with 1 teaspoon each chopped rosemary and thyme, about half a teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg, and a tablespoon of chopped fresh sage. Let those flavors just barely get to know each other, talking corporate Christmas party, and then likewise combine them in a large bowl with biscuit cubes and giant chunks of crispy bacon. Saturate with stock until just barely fully saturated, mixing between each addition, adding an egg after the first addition, etc., etc. And why not 8 ounces of grated cheddar cheese? About as ridiculous and unhealthy a thing as I can possibly imagine. What better way to celebrate America? Dump and press into a well-buttered baking vessel, cover with aluminum foil, and then same procedure, 350 for 25 minutes, then uncover in 15 to 20 minutes more. And there you have it. Biscuit, bacon, cheddar stuffing. Hubris in a bowl. Every bit as delicious and irresponsible and awesome and loaded with saturated fat as it sounds. So if you want to take a break from all the traditional Thanksgiving salads and fresh fruit, this could be a new, bold direction to go in. It'd also make a really great breakfast casserole if you mixed a few more eggs in there. Now all we need to complete our Thanksgiving table is a turkey probably and a great cocktail. And I think something hot and mulled will be just perfect. So I'm simmering 24 ounces of apple cider with a few cinnamon sticks and some freshly grated nutmeg for about 10 minutes. Then, fresh off the boil, we are straining it into a heat-proof container and adding 9 ounces of the Singleton single malt scotch, giving it a spirited mix, and that's it. Serve in a glass mug with a cinnamon stick and some freshly grated nutmeg for garnish, and we got here is autumn in a glass. Thanks again to the Singleton single malt scotch whiskey for partnering with me on this episode and more episodes to come next year. The Singleton is super versatile and mixable, a good choice for those who are still learning about whiskey. With notes of honey, brown sugar, and cooked apples, the Singleton is a great complement to whatever you're cooking this fall. To get a bottle of this award-winning single malt for yourself, head to the link in the video description.